welcome to the sunrise safari. Very little sun to be seen, quite a lot of moisture around. My name is Brent Smith. I have Brian Joubert on camera with me, and we have Tara and Lou in final control, and James and Andrew will hopefully be getting out a little bit later. So of course we're having a little bit of a struggle with vehicles and things at the moment, and we are on Wendy, and we have now bolted our aerial, or bolted is a strong word. We have duct taped and cable tied our aerial to bring you the live safari this morning, and we are hoping it doesn't fall off again. And we're going now down towards our southern boundary, and there was a report of the Birmingham male lions on that boundary at about 9:30 last night from one of the Arethusa rangers. So I'm hoping we can find some tracks, we can better find them. We will try stay out as long as possible, but if this dense mist and drizzle gets any harder, we will unfortunately have to dash for cover, but we will try our best to stay out and find you guys some animals. So let's get going. It's very strange. So in certain areas we get quite a lot of it, and it's quite hard, the drizzle, and when we're coming down to this area at the moment, it's not too bad, but we will definitely try to stay out for as long as possible. Hopefully we'll be able to give you a full morning safari. Otherwise we will dash for the cover of our camp, and we'll take a few questions under the roof and keep nice and dry. So even though on a normal safari we would go straight through through the weather, just chuck a poncho on and go. Unfortunately, with these vehicles, there's a huge amount of electronic and technical equipment, and we don't want to damage any of that. So these lions we're looking for, I think Anna Marie heard them from the Djuma dam cam, and they were quite far away, and we're probably about 2.5 kilometers from the Djuma dam cam, so that's a good indicator on how far lion roars can travel at night. So I'm not sure which direction they moved from where they were last seen. So I've come a little bit further to the west than I normally would have. They were seen down there at the Twin Dams junction, so I'm just making sure they haven't gone to the west, and I'm going to drive now down our southern boundary and see where they went. They have been tantalizingly close over this week, calling just to the south of our boundary, sending James and myself rushing down here like fools, only to sort of stand dejected on the southern boundary and listen to them call just out of reach. And there you can see the male lion track. So as our luck with these Birmingham boys has the tide shifted. Okay, I still see he hasn't walked down the whole road. So what I think he's done, and there only looks to be one of them here, two of them, is I think they've done this and then they've cut down towards Twin Dam, so I'm going to go around. In Konzo of Tuanunangara, heading north, Weaver's Nest, Konzo. Kiss. Now, can we solve the mystery? I don't see any Birminghams, I see females. Could it be the Nkuhumas? Did you see the line moving there? I think it's the Nkuhumas, but I'll check with tax now. They're not in the best spot for viewing. Morning, morning. Tax Nkuhuma. So it is the Nkuhuma pride. Isn't that exciting? We haven't seen them in such a long time. And I know, before anyone asked, Junior is not here. I can't see him, I only see females. So I just need to be on the radio for a second because there are the tracks of those male lions coming in from the south. Sorry guys, I just have to be on the radio. I'll be back with you in a second. Andrew, there's also Nkonzo of at least 3 Marorangala that come in on Weaver's Nest. And I lost the track somewhere on Weaver's Nest, but I'll go look again a bit later. From Weaver's Nest to the south of the drainage line, between the drainage line and Gowrie Main.
Thanks so much, check of WildEarth and turn jiggering around there. We'll try and follow it.
So, back to this. So we haven't seen these in Nkuhumas Pride. I haven't seen the Nkuhumas Pride for quite a while. I think the last time I saw them was actually in this area where there was only 3 of them and they were hunting buffalo. Now, interesting, I wonder if those Birmingham boys have headed to the north and that's what's caused them to come here. And as I said, not in the best position at the moment to view, lying up in one of these monkey orange thickets. But we can try reposition in a little bit. Okay, we're going to try and move around so we can see the rest of the pride. Let's try check if they've got any scars or anything from the last time we've seen them. It has been a tough run for the Nkuhumas with those Birminghams. I mean, they've lost some lionesses to those males. And it looks like Junior might have finally made his way to go look for a life for himself. So I've just got to be very careful while we're off-road with this aerial being solid and not able to bend. There's a hole. Didn't see that one, did we, Brian? Might be a bit dodgy. We've got full use of the 4x4 and starts, which is always a good thing in a car, having a vehicle that starts. Okay, we're just going to try to move around, see if we can get a spot where we can get a better view onto the whole pride. Cats. So while they're all lying down, it's difficult to see if they've fed recently. But we do know they had a giraffe to the north of us for a few days. I can't see any major scars or anything on them, so they are looking quite healthy, which is very good. Taxes, my daughter and Gala calling. So, what I said there, guys, I just heard a male lion calling, but it's quite far away to the north. I think that's what that lioness was lifting her head and looking towards. Did you hear it, Brian? It's quite faint. Just in the distance. See, she's still looking intently in the direction where that audio came from. Looks like they've still got reasonably full bellies from that giraffe they killed last week. Oh. What she heard. Look at those ears pick up. See, there's a little bit more interest in something. She seems to have heard something the others have missed. Lazy lion weather. Really nice weather for the big cats, nice and cool. So I'll just have a quick look how many lions are here, and you can see those two there off to the right and the other three to the left. Anna Marie was wondering how many. Anna Marie, there are 5 lionesses here, and that's the full complement of the remaining Nkuhumas pride minus Junior, who I think has possibly moved on. Oh, here comes the rain again. So we will try to stay out as long as humanly possible in the weather. Fortunately, it's just holding off for us at the moment, but there is some rain incoming at the moment. And it's getting quite hard all of a sudden. These lions look like they're very, very content to sleep. So, a wet welcome from Djuma Private Game Reserve to Ashley from North Carolina. Ashley would like to know, does a young male lion's mane protect him as well as a big male lion's mane? Well, not really, Ashley. That mane's still growing, and that mane is there to protect them during fighting. So while they're young, they're not fighting, and once their mane is fully developed, yes, then it does offer some protection. And even when it isn't fully developed, there will be some form of protection, but definitely not the same as a nice big adult male lion. Sleepy kitties. So I mentioned that the Pride has been feeding off a giraffe carcass to the north of us, and Sandy in Palm City said, I thought giraffe were hard to bring down. How did they manage? Well, there are 5 lionesses and 4 adult, and so it is quite possible for them. The different areas, lions use different techniques for hunting giraffe. They might have chased her over some rough, uneven ground, or chased the giraffe over some rough and even ground. Where I used to work in the Kruger National Park, they used to chase giraffe up towards steep hills, and then when they battled to get up the hill, that's when they would jump on them. And in Botswana, they used to chase them into sort of spring hare burrows, a little rodent that makes lots of burrows in the ground, and then the giraffe would fall, often breaking their legs, which makes it a lot easier for them to catch. Or they do it the hard way. They just jump on it and wear it down, and can take quite a long time. Here comes that drizzle again. Lucy from South Send, Indiana, is wondering if I see the amber-eyed lioness. Well, Lucy, at the moment, I can't see any of their eyes, but all 5 lionesses here, so I presume she is one of the flat cats, sleeping off the giraffe hangover. So I don't think these lions are going to move much. We are going to keep sitting here. The rain is getting a bit harder. We're going to make a call in about 10 or 15 minutes whether we've got to move. Hopefully we don't. But of course we want to keep broadcasting this on the Sunset Safari in case it clears, so we don't need any water creeping into our electronical gadgets. And we will move around, see if we can see amber eyes before we leave. So, oh look, one on the left, she's heard something again. Picked up her ears very quickly there in her head. So, Ginny's wondering, have these lions been mating with any males? Ginny, not that I have heard of, but I haven't seen them in a month, and no one saw them for an incredibly long time when they disappeared into the Kruger National Park. So, I would say probably not, but one can't be sure. So we're just going to wait for Aubrey to move out, and then we'll move around. Okay. There's some seriously fat bellies amongst these lions by the looks of things. I think that's, let me see, amber eyes, I think at the back there with the head up there, Brian. That looks like amber eyes.
So he's still on the close to the gate. Okay. Yeah, these tracks have not crossed Triple M. I can't find any track here.
Oh, it looks like there's a bit of a gap in the weather again. I think what that lioness might be carrying could be zebra or some other antelope that can make quite a bit of noise off to the north of them. Isn't this wonderful? Sorry guys, I was listening, I thought I heard something. Well, I heard male lions in the distance, but it wasn't. Or maybe it is. What is going on? Sorry guys, I'm just concentrating. This female, her behavior is quite interesting. She just popped her head up. Oh, uh-oh. Okay. Guys, I'm afraid we're going to have to call it. It's raining, it's starting to come down very hard at the moment. We're going to have to put this big plastic cover over the vehicle. And then I've got to drive with my head popping out, but we need to get the camera and stuff under cover. And unfortunately we can't do this next to lions, so I'm going to give you one last look. We're going to move away, get the cover on, and we'll probably do some questions and answers for you guys under the roof. But it's now all of a sudden just decided to start really coming down. Well, when I say really coming down if you've got a lot of electronic equipment on your vehicle. So while we get the cover over the vehicle, we're going to send you across to Commander Bond to see what he's been up to while we move back towards the safety of home.
3, 2, 1. Hello everybody. You find us here in a state of high excitement. There are wild dog tracks everywhere here. There are just no wild dogs exactly where we are. We've driven around. They went up onto the cut line, played around with the babies that we saw last night, if you were with us, and then they came this way. The adults have crossed through there. We checked the road the other side. They aren't there. So we're hoping maybe they're around here somewhere. We're going to drive slowly down there. Not great walking conditions, and obviously if you're trying to find wild dogs, being on foot, well, you've been pretty fit and you've got to be able to run very fast. And, you know, with this backpack, not casting any aspersions on Andrew, who's on camera here today, with this backpack you'd have to be something of a man mountain to keep up with wild dogs on the hoof, as it were. So we're going to gently drive down here, hopefully maintaining some signal. The rain, I think, is a bit better where we are than where Brent is. It's probably heading this way, but as a mobile unit like the Special Forces, as are Andrea and I today, we can get back and cover things up a little faster than he is. So we're going to carry on down here, hopefully come up with some wild dogs. Most exciting. As you can see, the weather is not particularly magnificent this day. I suppose it depends if you're not. I suppose there's something in my blood. Thick Scotch makes me feel like I'm at home. Yes, not exactly conducive to the best game viewing experience in the world. Let me just open my jacket so that I may speak into the microphone. If you are perhaps a new viewer, welcome. My name is James, and as I said, Andrew is on camera, and we are on the walking bushwalk vehicle. And there's a mobile pack attached to the back of the vehicle, and with that we will probably go for a little walk a little bit later with any luck. We're just going to follow up on these dogs for the next little while, because when you find wild dogs, it's the most exciting thing in the world. That rain is now starting to fall a little. I think the stuff that caught Brent. Never mind, we'll keep going with fortitude in our hearts. See what we can see.
Have you ever seen a pell?
No, we had a couple of questions yesterday about owls, and so we do some wild owls here. In Kentucky, you'd like to know if I've ever seen a Pell's fishing owl. For anybody who doesn't know, a Pell's is an enormous owl that unsurprisingly eats fish. It hunts them a little from a perch above the water, and sorry, I'm just keeping an eye out for the flashing white tails of wild dogs. And Virginia, I have seen one, but not here. I don't think you'll find them here. They do need some kind of semi-permanent water to hunt from, and so I haven't seen one here. I've seen one in Botswana once. You do get them sometimes, giraffe. You do get them sometimes there on the Sand River, just not too far from here. There we go. A mammal, everyone. You had some wonderful lines earlier. And there is a male and female giraffe. And by his general disposition, I'd say that it's not too hard to figure out what he's after. Look at that. Isn't that wonderful? That's the equivalent of, can I buy you a drink? I've already got a drink, thank you. I'm going to buy you one anyway. So they're running through there. Can they come? They're going to come around the front. Let's carry on a little bit forward. I've just gone through this kind of thick bush here. And this, I don't know how giraffe ever actually have babies, because every time I've ever seen the males and females together, where he is clearly loitering with intent, as it were, she is totally disinterested. There we go. There we go. I don't know if any of you managed to watch with us the incredible sightings we've had. First of all with Karula mating with Tingana, an 11-year-old female leopard mating with a 9-year-old male, and less than a week later, the same male mating with a 9-year-old female, Shadow, Karula's daughter, quite apart from the soap operatic nature of that story, the difference between the strategies could not be different between the two mammals. In that case, the female is the seductress. She initiates all forms of mating, and in this case you can see the female is totally disinterested. He is now consumed with embarrassment, but he's still so consumed by his intentions that he's unable to even eat. So while she has a bite to eat, he wanders around. This is very funny. You can also hear perhaps a beautiful bird called the black-crowned chagra. Isn't that lovely? That beeping that you can hear is the game drive radio, which we just have to have on in case the dogs are found somewhere else. Right. So it is, the thick Scotch mist is now starting to descend slightly. If it gets any thicker than this, I'm afraid we're going to probably have to shut down. But is this pretty bad? Do you want to call it? Okay, we're going to have to call this, I'm afraid. In fact, it's getting a lot harder as we speak. I think Brent is probably back at the DRC. I'm just going to find out where Brent is quickly. Hang on a second. Never mind. I'm just going to find out where Brent is, and then we can decide whether we are going to just shut down here and send you across to him, or if we're going to have to go to a technical loop because it is now starting to come down. So should I link to him? All right, so everybody, we're going to go back to the camp. Brent is there standing by, so we're going to go to a tech loop while the rain falls. Sorry about this, but wonderful African blessing in the rain. We'll keep going and see you just now.
Welcome to a wet Djuma private game reserve. Unfortunately, we couldn't stay with those lions. James has just arrived, and you can hear the rumble of the diesel engine of the vehicle he's in behind us. He's just parking the vehicle under the cover. Andrew's getting the walking backpack off. But how wonderful was it to see the Nkuhumas pride this morning? James is going to join me once he's got the vehicle under cover. But speaking about the Nkuhumas and the lack of junior, John from sunny California has said there was a young male lion on the coral cam last night that looked very much like a junior. Well, it is possible that it could be him. But Nkuhumas is quite close to the Kruger National Park boundary, so it could be another young nomadic male. And that's the amazing thing about being in such a huge unfenced area, that lion dynamics are able to operate naturally. So it could be another male. Maybe it could be a male the junior will meet up with and form a coalition and head off from his natal area to set up a territory of his own one day. But unfortunately, I'm hoping we will see Junior again, but I think more than likely he is going to move far away. The fact that he wasn't with the Nkuhumas lionesses for a week on a giraffe carcass is probably a strong inclination that he has moved off out of the area. So thanks very much for that, John. Always good to keep updated about what's happening around in other places. So as you know, we are under the roof, and you can see Rusty here, bonnet open, in some form of disarray, as James spent quite a bit of time underneath Rusty last night. Speaking of...
Hello everyone!
I've already checked.
I'm just checking the oil.
It's good.
It is good.
I've already checked.
That is marvellous news.
After draining 13 litres?
No, yes, about 13 litres.
Hello, James.
Yeah, hello,
How was your wet morning?
That was actually quite pleasant. We followed the tracks of the wild dogs, and they are now in Simbambalai.
Oh, okay.
So unfortunately, not here.
But interesting, Nkuhumas on Zoe's Road.
Yes, marvellous to see the Nkuhumas again.
Yeah.
The 5 lionesses.
All
And you
5
had the
lionesses?
lions, the males calling.
And tracks.
Where were they?
The tracks came in from Gari May, onto Weaver's Nest Road, and then I lost them there when they went off the road somewhere, and I heard of Eddie's had been through, and then I heard taxon call lions there, and I assumed they were possibly the lion tracks I was following, but they weren't. So the tracks of the Nkuhumas actually came in from Buffelshoek here down Gallagher shortcut.
Okay.
So it's definitely two different sets of lions. I think they're further north of Birmingham, so I think they just shot through us from that audio I heard. And I think that's also the reason why the Nkuhumas are suddenly down here, because they've crossed up to the north.
So, I mean, some form of a balance being restored to the lion dynamics. This, of course, is the heart of the Nkuhuma territory, and we've had 3 other prides around here over the last little while. We've had the Talamati pride just north in Buffelshoek. They've come a long way south of where they normally are. Right.
But they are possibly related to the Nkuhumas.
Okay.
So they have been seen sharing buffalo and giraffe carcasses before.
Interesting. Okay, I didn't know that. And then we had the Shumungwe pride. There's
Come say hello to Mama Z.
Hello. Hey, Mama Z.
There's Mama Z. Come, we'll introduce you to Zodwa, and she is the one who shouts at us when we make a mess, keeps us neat and tidy.
Mama Z.
Say hello to everyone, Mama Z.
Ulega TV.
So she thinks we're joking that she's on the TV.
It's like a man. We did a bread.
Sharp Mama Z.
Yeah.
I can't.
That's fine. Come on.
Ulega TV. I'm just going to quickly complete the lion talk, and then I will get to Alina's question.
I'm just going to fetch what Alina's talking about.
So, we had the Shumungwe pride, 3 lionesses. We also, of course, had the Salala pride. Now, they have balance, as far as they are concerned, has been restored. They have removed themselves back to Londolozi, and, well, they're kind of knocking around Londolozi in the south of Arathusa. So they're back in their territory. Don't know where that Shumungwe bunch has gone, but nice to have the Nkuhumas back. Balance is restored relatively so until perhaps the marauding Birmingham boys come back, and we don't know what they're going to do. Now, Alina in California, you want to know the history of these walking sticks, given that you are a collector of driftwood. Well, I can say one thing for certain about both of these sticks, Alina, and that is that neither of them are driftwood, of course. Yes. Not enough water knocking about here for them to drift anywhere. Brent's, of course, is compensating for his small ego. That's why he has such an enormous stick. I, of course, am very comfortable in my own skin, and so I have a small stick. They're both very nicely shaped, though, I feel. They are good for bopping things on the head.
Especially cameramen.
Yes, I can bop a duiker on the head if it attacks me. Brent can bop a buffalo on the head if it attacks him. Don't worry, attacks are very unlikely in this part
especially
of the world.
With duiker.
Yes, especially with... Although, I was told once by a man who caught game for a living, and he caught everything. He caught rhinoceros, he caught elephants, he caught buffalo and wildebeest and all sorts of other things. And he said the most terrifying experience he had once was when he was in an enclosure with a duiker and his wife, not the duiker's wife, the catcher's wife, and the duiker attacked them both, and he had to beat the duiker off. It took him 25 minutes with his wife's handbag. And so that must have been fairly terrifying. He said he was lacerated from his ankles up to his thighs. It's a terrifying experience, the most terrifying that he'd had with any other animal. So let us not look lightly.
I've heard of a game capture guy dying from a duiker.
Here we go.
Very sharp little horn went into his femoral artery. We actually had to pet duikers as children.
Did you?
Yes, and as soon as when the males were chased out of the house very, very early, that they used to sit on the couches and eat scented thorn or acacia seeds. And when anyone visited us, they thought there were ticks everywhere in our house, but it was little seed pods from the acacia.
Well, it's not a usual thing to arrive for a dinner party and find an antelope wandering about the kitchen.
That is true.
Fossicking for acacia nilotica seeds.
It is true. We actually had to go as kids to collect piles of these seeds because they loved them so much.
Marvellous. We had a question about the lion dynamics and whether their movements are random. Their movements are not random, I don't believe. I think that, well, I mean, there's a certain element of randomness, but I think that you can ascribe various reasons to the how and why the lions have ended up where they are in this area. I think that the Birminghams have created a major stink, of course. They have killed lionesses, many, and I think that's made the Nkuhumas scared. They booked off into the Kruger National Park, and they left this area. You don't like the swinging stick?
No, you're not Harry Potter.
Oh, I'm not. Thank you, Brian. Maybe you could hold my stick. Right.
Harry Potter. I think that's a new nickname for James.
And what's happened then is that so the Nkuhumas backed out of here. I think they left a power vacuum, basically. And then there was rain. I think that their scent marking, had they been scent marking, probably got washed off. They weren't calling in the area. And that, combined with the fact that there were buffalo moving predictably through the area, I think attracted other lions here. They got here. There was no other sign of lions. And so they just hung around for a few days.
And the fact that the Birminghams are so vocal every night. Those other lions knew that there were no male lions calling, and the Salatis haven't been south. So there's just sort of this quiet area, and with all the pandemonium, with the Matimbas being in the Tsalalas normal home range, the Birminghams now pushing the Matimbas, there was just this sort of quiet patch around Djuma for a few weeks that they just moved into.
Yeah. And why don't the ones that are around now have individual names? I just think they haven't been around enough.
Yeah.
I don't know about the Majingalan males. I'm pretty sure that they've got their own names. And for those of you who don't know, the Mapoko came into the area around 2007. It was initially 6, and then 5 males. They did a lot of killing of lionesses. I'm not sure exactly how many.
I first saw them in 2004, end of 2004, at Singita.
Little ones.
Yeah, they were just independent of the pride, and actually walking home, they were in between in our rooms,
right.
But they weren't nearly the fierce force they became. Yeah. They moved off to the west and to the south before they came sort of back round. It was very similar to what the Birminghams did. They sort of came into this area during Big Cat Week last year, and then made themselves scarce for nearly 7-8 months until they'd sort of got enough confidence and grown a bit to come back. But,
so, Sandy, their names, I'm sure these guys will get names. I mean, we've already named that kind of a dark-eyed, well, we haven't, various people have named that dark-eyed lion who looks like his eyes are kind of at different levels. And he's been named the Togolosh.
Otsotsi, he's got 3 names.
Togolosh, Otsotsi. So, I mean, over time, if they hang around, I'm sure they will get named.
I actually heard a really great name for the one Birmingham boy from Doug Sibambili, who's got really, really lovely blonde flowing locks.
Yes.
He is called the Hoff.
The Hoff.
After David Hasselhoff because of the hair. So I think that's the 2 of them I know that have been named so far.
Yeah. So Sandy, fear not, they will probably get individual names. I don't know if the Majingalan got males. The Mapoko certainly did. I knew of Kinky Tail, and what was the other one?
Well, it depends. It depends who you spoke to.
Yeah.
So Kinky Tail always hang out with, which the guys in the west called Mr. T, but all our trackers called Satan, because he was the lion who chased one of the other males who was mating with an Ottawa lioness, chased her off, killed her, mated with her corpse, and then ate her whole corpse.
He mated with her corpse.
He mated with a dead lioness and then ate and finished it by himself.
So, I mean, there are a lot of people who feel that lions are noble creatures. I feel that a creature that is prepared to mate with a dead member of the opposite sex and then eat it very squarely is removed from the realms of nobility. But that is quite shocking. I hadn't realised that happened.
But that ties into what's very similar to the Birmingham's killing lionesses now. They come in a bit young, but because there's so many of them, they're able to challenge sort of a year or 2 earlier than they probably would normally if it was a smaller coalition or a single male. Yeah. So they actually don't know what to do half the time.
Anyway, those are the males. Now, country girl Ash from North Carolina, Ashley, thank you for your question. You want to know what is you've seen a documentary where 5 lionesses were seen chasing or fighting with a male. Why would they have done that? Well, the reason probably is because the male was unfamiliar to them, perhaps from a different area, and he would have threatened their cubs if they had cubs, and he would have taken their food if they had food, and the only reason they would tolerate having a male at the kill was if he was the kind of dominant of the area, and also if he wasn't big enough, perhaps he wasn't a big adult, perhaps he was an old adult. Hierarchy around the kill or in an area is defined purely by size. So if he wasn't a particularly big and strong lion, those lionesses would have ganged up against him and taken him out. And it goes on to your second question of whether or not the males ever hunt. Was it only the females? No, the females are not the only hunters. In a pride situation, remember the pride doesn't have the male in it. The pride is the females and youngsters. Males are essentially scavenging when they come into the area, and if they hear a kill being made, they will, and they're on territorial patrol, they'll come in and they'll scavenge the kills from the females. Absolutely, they'll do that. But these 5 young Birmingham lions kill a lot on their own.
And like the Mapopos as well, you must remember male lions spend a lot of time away from the prize. And, well, let's just take the Matimbas because we know them well. So the Matimbas are 2 male lions. They had the Talamati pride, the Nkuhumas pride, the Styx pride, and they were seen with the mating with Tsalala breakaways as well. And so within their home range there were 4 different prides. So now to keep marauders like the Birminghams and and the Salatis and whatnot out, they would have to constantly patrol this massive area to defend it. So there's a lot of time when those male lions are not with the females. Or not close enough when the females catch something to hear. So when they are out on their own, they are very competent hunters. And quite often, being big male lions, they don't really sort of fiddle around with impala and stuff. They go for high-profile game like buffalo and hippo. So they do quite a lot of hunting.
It's just a bit of a misnomer that lions don't hunt, that male lions don't hunt. And I think it's because they do scavenge a lot, and all lions are very effective scavengers, and in some areas they'll scavenge more than hyenas will. I think a lot of places in East Africa, there's an enormous amount of natural die-off of the wildebeest in the migration, probably far more natural die-off than die-off from kills, from lions or hyenas. You'll find that lions are doing a huge amount of scavenging. And in that area, I mean, it's quite interesting, I think, while we're waffling along here, waiting to see what the weather's going to do. Very interesting relationship between the scavengers of those plains and our human ancestors, we often think of our human ancestors as great hunters. They weren't, they were scavengers. And that migration and that movement of animals there left them with an enormous amount of untapped food resource that the predators, the savanna predators, could not possibly take care of. There was just so much of it. Anyway,
Auntie Lynn.
Yes, Auntie Lynn. Hello, Auntie Lynn.
Auntie Lynn says, are the 5 lionesses in the Nkuhumas pride related? Aunties, sisters, daughters, or do they come together as random individuals like male lions? Well, they're definitely related, and so the male lion coalitions are often unrelated. There will be some form of relation where there's female prides are all 100% related. All those members will be direct blood relatives.
But they could be cousins. They're not necessarily siblings. So a pride, by definition, is a set of females and their related offspring, and those females will have some kind of blood relation. Yeah. But I mean, there could be various ages. Could be mothers and daughters, cousins, aunts, possibly even second cousins. But that absolutely does happen.
You've got to watch out for third cousins.
You've got to watch out for the third cousins. That's a good point there, Brent. Well done. Excellent. Okay. I think that the weather has lifted. What do you think?
We're just going to have a look. I'm going to leave you with James. I'm going to go have a look outside.
Moving swiftly along from the great African predator that is the lion to the slimy and large and edible creature that is the giant African land snail. And Chris, you want to know, do they grow their own shells? Absolutely they do. They are not like hermit crabs, for example, which will carry a shell around the place, and they are growers, just like any snail. So any snail in the world will grow a shell, and it grows in a kind of a spiral, and that's how they're able to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger as they get larger. And you want to know if there's some other things will go into them and live. yes, well, termites would go into them and live, ants would go into them and live, but no other thing. I mean, the classic example of a creature that usurps another's shell and lives in it, and then when it gets bigger, finds a bigger shell, would be a hermit crab. And there's nothing like that out here that would use a shell of a giant land snail to live in. And one of the reasons for that is that the land snail's shell is pretty poor. It's not a very large, they're not very strong. So, yeah.
But I actually have a land snail shell in my car somewhere. I'll see if I can find it quickly.
That's a tortoise there.
Yeah, that is a tortoise. Unfortunately, it has started raining and there's another big waft of misty weather coming through. So James is going to answer that question. I'm going to try to find the
Georgianne, you've talked about owls. We've had some very nice owl questions of late. And we talked about the Pell's fishing owl, the giant eagle owl last night. And Georgianne, you say there's some controversy about how far an owl can turn its head. Now, you reckon it's about 180 degrees, and others have told you it's 270 degrees. I would say 270 degrees, which is a full three-quarter turn, is probably pushing it slightly. The reason an owl and many birds are able to turn their heads completely like that is that they've got some mechanism in the neck whereby they don't cut off blood supply to the brain. So by turning their heads like that, I mean, if I was to take Brent's head and turn it sideways like that, well, apart from snapping his neck,
I would retire permanently.
Yes, it would also cut off blood supply to his brain. Well, what there is of it. And that is asking for trouble. And what happens is with the others, with a bird, it doesn't happen like that. They can turn their heads to about 180 degrees. I think 270 is probably a bit of a push.
They could. We'll have to. I think that's a very good question. We're going to have to get the books and do some homework.
Yeah.
For some reason, I remember somewhere in the recesses of my non-brain, something that they can go a bit beyond 180. Okay. Yeah, but I might be incorrect. We will do some research on that and try to get back to you.
Right. Thank you also for your belated birthday messages. Very kind of you to send them through to us. I felt quite overwhelmed actually with the outpouring of love. Lion Eyes in Texas, you've sent another one through, so that's made the post-birthday blues slightly easier to deal with. So thank you very much for that.
It's definitely the most birthday wishes he's ever received.
Yes. And you wanted to know what my ideal birthday meal would be. I'm not a big foodie, you know. I think it's probably some roast lamb cooked on a weaver next to at the seaside, perhaps. I don't know. I mean, that's probably what I'd choose, and followed by an enormous amount of ice cream of various flavors.
For those of you who don't know what a weaver is, it's a big round barbecue that you can sort of slow cook wonderful stuff in. Yes, basically, but with fire.
Yes, cooked by my father, very good cook. My father did not pass that on to me, along with any of the sporting skills that he had. Right, the rain has now begun again, and sorry about the noise behind us. That is a pump. Pumping water in
so we
and around
can shower.
Yes, we do need to bathe once in a while. We're allowed our weekly bath on Sundays, which is very nice. Okay, we're going to close down now because it's becoming slightly embarrassing talking to you from the side of a Land Rover.
That doesn't work.
We'll fix these cars. The rain has started again. It is a blessing. It's not a blessing for live broadcast, but we're very pleased to have it here. And we'll try and see you maybe a little bit later this morning, but if this persists, it will probably be this afternoon at 4 o'clock. So thank you very much for your patience. Thank you for your questions and making this time next to the Land Rover actually pretty enjoyable. We get very nervous when we have to come in here and just start talking. Anyway, keep an eye on all of the Djuma Dam cam, the Arathusa cam, and all the other cams about the place, and keep us posted, please. Have a marvellous day wherever you are, and from me, James,
and from me, Brent, thank you for making James feel so special.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen very often.
Thank you very much. Shut up, Brent. And thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Sterling work. I know it's been difficult there on the back of the Land Rover. Stoic work. And Louise and Tara. Bye-bye, everybody. We'll see you probably this afternoon.
Mm-hmm.